Good Thursday evening, everyone. Welcome to Getting Back to Zero Thursday edition. I looked at what do you call them, the results, the analog data, whatever, about what viewers are liking on these shows. And it turns out anyone that's got a funny sounding accent sends the ratings through the roof. So I thought, forget content. Who cares about, good information about sobriety? Get people that sound funny when they talk, and the ratings go through the roof. So I'm very excited about another Aussie, an awesome Aussie joining us, and I also I ordered a sound machine that's going to help for phone calls for people that want to call in and not be on the show but talk. Also, some opening music that's probably a week away. That we're going to make things, I don't know. You'll have to now listen to my choice of opening music. And then Saturday morning, we have Rose is back on. And if you remember, Rose tragically lost her daughter years ago to a drug overdose. And she and the sober yoga gal, Alex McRoberts, and I just finished a class just before this, and I did not put my head through the wall tonight on some poses, so I'm thrilled. It was a victory. But they're going to be on Saturday morning talking about trauma. Got a big week, and then next Thursday, Peggy Cooney is going to be on, and we're going to ask her all the good questions about what writing a book is all about of sobriety. But right now, I am thrilled to bring the funny talking one, Lisa, from Australia. Whereabouts are you? And don't get too specific because I just know it's huge. Just kind of give me some basics.
North of Sydney. I'm in Brisbane. Brisbane's in a different state to Sydney, and it's very, very north of where our friend Margie Jackson lives. So a couple of hours in a plane north of Margie, and it's a very tropical environment. It's right on the coastline, so it's very hot.
Have you ever been to the States, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I've been to the States twice before before marriage.
Okay. BM, sure, that's
long time ago.
And Margie is already saying good day. So, and so's Jim. So you got some fans right off.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled you're here. I had you once before on the little panel discussion, and you really hit on some points that struck me as this is someone we need to bring on. I know that you've got training with through the Naked Mind, and I guess you are a certified coach through them?
Yep, a certified coach through this Naked Mind, and also certified through Jolene Park in grey area drinking.
Gray area drinking, hold that thought, because let's just jump in. What is your definition of, I want to hear your story, but what is your definition of gray area drinking?
Grey area drinking is a spectrum, so it's not all. It's just that it really takes up a lot of mental space wherever you are on that spectrum. So you can be, and there's no real rock bottom moment for a grey area drinker. They just have trouble with moderation. They don't seem to have an off switch, but they can be anywhere between, the fact that they have the dependency is probably the key thing. It's not just about one end of can take it or leave it, or the rock bottom. You're smack in along that, all those events that happen along that spectrum.
If you're looking at a ladder, I was going to say going up, but maybe it's going down. And if we're talking progression of alcoholism, whatever word you want to use, of what too much drinking, whatever you want to call it, is that in the middle of that ladder? Is a part of progression, or is it its own entity?
It's all part of it. It's all part of it. But I think really that it's it is this spectrum. It's the fact that if it's a problem for you, if it's not serving you, alcohol, then there's an issue. And I think, and that's where everyone gets stuck on labels and stuff. But really, I just think the bottom line is that you don't have to have a rock bottom to make changes. And it is a whole big spectrum of where you are on that, but it's ultimately where you feel that it's not serving you. And if it's interfering with your daily life and your goals and your health and your mental health as well as your physical health, then that's what it is for you. So yes, it's a huge spectrum.
I'm going to switch this real quick just for something, but the problem with that for me is if I passed through the gray area of my drinking, I didn't want to quit as a gray area drinker, because I wasn't, it wasn't that bad yet. I don't.
And it still depends. See, that's what I mean. Like, you still it's got to be a problem for you. So if you're not ready for change, it doesn't matter what label you use. That's the bottom line, really. Or if you feel that you don't want to change, or you're not ready for it, then it's really up to you, isn't it? So it doesn't, whatever you. In the sense that then it wouldn't matter if someone said, oh, you're a grey area drinker, but you go, but if I'm not ready for change, it doesn't really matter what you call me. So
because I'm going to hope that I'm going to stay a gray area drinker. And in my case, if I went through that, I sure as hell didn't stay there. I progressed.
Yeah, I think it's the grey area drinker just is in a place where it's not so much. Yeah, it's not so much that idea. It's the fact that allowing yourself that you don't have to have the rock bottom moment to have the change. So you can say you're a grey area drinker, you're ready for change, but you may not be at the rock bottom. Probably not explaining this really well, sorry. You're not, but if you're not ready for change, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. But it's grey area drinker label is really just to say you don't have to be rock bottom if you're ready for change. If you just know it's impacting on your health, or mental or physical, it's interfering with your daily life, but it's allowing yourself to have the space to be on that spectrum, not necessarily having a rock bottom to have to change. Does that make better sense?
There's probably so many people like me that just want to say to someone that's a gray area drinker, hey, pull the ripcord now. Trust me.
Yeah, totally.
Hop out. If you're seeing problems, look.
Yeah.
I guess my advice would be look for any kind of progression, because if you're seeing progression, bail now while you can.
I wish I could go back and say, this is the point where the progression started to happen. Don't.
Yeah. But I shut my eyes to it, or ignored it, or
because you think it's normal, that's what everybody does, So it's recognizing that.
Yeah, and it's such a small increment, probably, that by the time you realize it, that it's too late. But so let's just jump back though. What got you on a show about sobriety? Just let's hear your story. Plus, I like hearing you talk too. So that too. But no, how'd you get here?
How did I get here? Well, it's a long story, so I'll try and make it as brief as possible. We don't really want to do part one and part two. I had an unstable and fractured home life when I was little, and so jumped forward into early adulthood. I was well and truly into people pleasing. That led to jobs where I actually liked stressful jobs, busy jobs, because I strangely liked still people pleasing and being relied upon, and I loved the action of it all. And but then I jumped into jobs that were certainly at the time in the Australian working environment, you bonded over drinking at lunchtime. You're not allowed to do that anymore, but this is back in the day. And you drank at lunchtime to bond, you drank after work to bond, and I did all that to fit in, and that sort of escalated because then I was drinking to celebrate, drinking to commiserate, drinking when I was happy, sad, had a bad off day, I just drank for any reason in the end. And it is progressive. You're right. It is one of those things that sneaks up on you. And if I could go back to one particular job, I would be able to, wish I could turn around and just tap myself on the shoulder and say, this was the turning point where things really seemed to kick in, and then I got depression and anxiety and panic attacks.
Bingo.
And it all just, and then I thought, gosh, alcohol, that really helps. But I didn't realize for many years that it was actually fueling it. And I'd say, oh, this medication doesn't work, or these tools to do something to help with the anxiety, they don't work. But surprisingly, they work really well when you're not drinking. So, yeah, it's amazing. And
30 years later for me to figure that out.
So same. So, I got really sick at one point. I did end up in hospital for 2 weeks. I was overweight because I comfort ate as well. I'm only about 5'5", 5'4", so I was morbidly obese at one point. Got really sick in hospital for 2 weeks, enlarged heart, diabetes, it was ugly. Nearly did die at that point, and then got well, recovered. Took me about a year, and thought, I can moderate. I can do this. I can still drink. I did some dry Julys. And this is the thing where, in the end, I had no off switch. I couldn't just have one drink. And and then I'd have a day off, and then I'd go. And it was really weird. Like the doctors all told me when I'd been in hospital, you've got to do something about your drinking. This is why you've got the enlarged heart, all this, the diabetes, because people instantly go to the liver. They always go, oh, what's the liver like? And sometimes your liver can be not great, but not dangerous. But it's really, sometimes it's your heart. And, that's often overlooked in your health assessments. So anyway, then I got made redundant from a job, and that I crashed and burned around then, and I went into another job. And for about the first year, I was not employee of the month. They put up with an awful lot, and I was away a lot. I was blacking out a lot, and I just got to a point, and my doctor was great, I have to say. Like, he tried to help me, but I wasn't ready to hear him. But I got up one day and I just went, I don't think I could see myself heading down the track of where I was a couple of years before. And I just woke up one day and I said, I don't think I've got another recovery in me. I think if I get sick again, I actually think I will die this time. And I crawled to my doctor's office. I had an appointment with him anyway because I had been away from work again and needed another medical certificate. And I walked in about an hour earlier and I just said, I don't know what I've got to do. I don't know if I can do it. I just know I can't keep going the way that I've been going.
That takes guts. That takes a lot of guts to do that.
I had no idea what I was doing, but he was fantastic. And this is all before a lot of the sober groups that are available now for people. It's fantastic. And I encourage people. But the biggest thing is that reaching out and saying, this is above my pay grade. I can't do it by myself. Because being a very independent person from childhood, because I didn't have any siblings and I was isolated from a lot of family, and it wasn't a very big family to start with, I was always used to fixing things by myself, and I thought this was just the same. But, even when my health suffered, I still thought that I could fix it. But, I just went in and I just went, can't do it. I don't know what I can do, but I know I can't keep going. He was excited.
The things I struggle for so many people. For me, obviously with sports was a big part of me, my life. All I heard my whole life was tough it out. You're okay. Walk it off. Don't show pain. You don't let your opponent that that you jammed your finger and it hurts or that you're tired. Tough it out. You don't show it. And as a woman, so many mothers out there, you got to hold it together for everyone else. The kids, you got to be strong for the kids. So the message is maybe it's not as direct as what I heard from my coaches, but for at least for mothers, my guess is that society says you don't show pain. You got to hold it together and be strong for your kids.
Well, I didn't even have that excuse because I've only ever had a cat. But I hear you. Like I get what you're saying, and I see it around in all my friends who are fantastic mothers.
But to ask for help is tough.
You can't. It is hard, but that was the absolute game changer. And I always say this to people when they turn up to calls or whatever. I just go, the fact that you have reached out, you might not think much of it right now, and I certainly didn't. But it was when I looked back and I had started to make changes, that was the turning point. And it was the absolute right thing to do, to just say, this is above my pay grade. I can't do it by myself. So, and this is before sober groups like here, and there was no Zoom.
Well, how did you do it? You said that you did not go to AA, which at the time was probably
that's about it.
That's about it. How did you do it?
Yeah, my doctor, I credit him. He started me on a journey of learning mindfulness, and he got me learning about staying in the moment, not looking at the past and all the shoulda, woulda, couldas, because I had a lot of issues from my past that were impacting on my daily life. I am, because of my jobs where I had a lot of responsibility, it was my job to keep all the ducks in a row. So I became a huge overthinker. So then I started trying to future predict. So this is the mental state that I worked in, always looking behind, always looking ahead. So he got me into mindfulness, and that was a game changer. That also helped with my anxiety and helped me walk through that. And it helped with my depression because I learned to leave the past behind and just you don't get over it, but it was just learn from it, keep going.
So did he just tell you just focus on today and not focus on that, or were there other?
Yeah.
Was it meditation
or lots of therapy, some meditation? Yeah. So lots of therapy, which I hadn't really done before. I hadn't really dug into all the. I only ever really thought about things when I go to him and I'd ask his advice. So I was only very surface level, but I never really got into the nuts and bolts of it all. So therapy helped an awful lot. And yeah, learning, I mean, you can just Google mindfulness tools and there's a ton out there. You can go into Spotify and look up mindfulness and grounding and centering. We didn't call it that then, but grounding and centering now is huge. And you can go to Spotify and YouTube and search in there, and there's a ton of stuff now that will help you. And all of those tools helped me with my anxiety, as I said before, as well. And so that got me going. And then This Naked Mind, the book, hadn't come out at that point. That was September 2014. And This Naked Mind didn't come out until 2015, I think. But when that came out, that, I think, solidified a lot of things. I understood it. I've always been, because of my overthinking, I've always got to know why about things. So I think the book, This Naked Mind, actually solidified the whys, and I understood more about why I had all those day ones. Because I tried to quit just white knuckling it, and it didn't work. I'd have a day, I'd have 2 days, and when people say to me, "Oh, I'm only on day 7," and I still remember thinking, I don't know. I didn't know I had 7 days in me for years, I just didn't know. So I applaud anyone who says I've got 7 days. I'm like, fantastic. It's celebrate those milestones every single day. So yeah, it was understanding where neurotransmitters come in and understanding how I had this huge pattern of behavior where it was my go-to, and how I now had to build a new life with new things, without alcohol. So then it took me decades to get into that place. Now I had to realize that it wasn't going to be overnight to create new neural transmitters. And just understanding those sorts of things, I think, really changed the game for me. And then other people, there were other people who wrote books at that time, like Brendan Burchard. I huge. If follow me on my Facebook page for 5 minutes, and you'll see how much I love Brendan Burchard. I just loved his book, The Motivation Manifesto, which actually came out the same year as This Naked Mind, and the two books together just changed the game mindset-wise for me.
You know, you had talked about people think of the liver as the only abuse with alcohol, but and someone had put in about, you know, diabetes and all the things. I just remember, for me, my heart, I would wake up and the anxiety or the hangxiety, whatever you want to say, that of just feeling my heart was pounding, and I thought,
all the time.
I am beating the hell out of this heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working it. This thing is not just pumping away like life should be. It was hitting hard. I mean, I could just feel it pounding out of my chest because of. And I don't know how much I took out of it, but I thought, this thing, I'm using it up fast at this rate.
Yeah, the body's an amazing thing. The body's an amazing thing, and it took me a while, but it did heal. You know, I'm on now these days. The only medication I'm on is a very, very low dose for a bit of an arrhythmia, but he can't tell me. The cardiologist can't tell me whether I caused that or whether I was born with it. You know, so. And because I said to him, oh, my God, you know, what have I done to myself? And he just went, don't know. We don't know the answer. We don't know. So because I started beating myself up, shame, blame, you know. And he went, well, I honestly can't tell you whether it was from the alcohol damage. And he's thrilled, you know, at my sobriety. And because he saw me, I met him for the first time when I was in hospital that time. And so he saw me at my utter worst, and he's just so thrilled. I've been very, very blessed. I know people talk about their medical professionals not supporting them, but I can't credit mine enough. I'm very, very blessed.
You know, what's interesting with the good news, or let's just even the bad news about your heart, your liver, whatever, but I'm the negative of the two options, but mine is, if I heard, well, your liver's bad, my go-to is, well, it's too late. Screw it. I've already, so just might as well just let's go get some beer and sell it. You know, it's over. I've ruined it. It's that if you have one cookie out of the bag, well, I had one, so the day's ruined. So what the hell? I might as well eat the whole bag. And that's how I was kind of, or the other half is the negative. Hey, you've got some liver damage or whatever, diabetes, whatever. Hey, I'm going to fix it right now. I'm the guy that goes and screw it. It's over. I've burned the bridge, so I might as well just go down in flames.
And I fixed it. I like it. As I say, it took me about a year to get the diabetes under control, and I don't have it now. But I have to be mindful of my diet because, you know, having been down that road, it wouldn't be that hard to really screw it up again. But I got to the end of that 12 months and then went, yeah, I can moderate. I know I've been through all that, but that's because I just let it get out of control. I've got a handle on this. And I had lost weight, but then I started to put it all back again. Everything changed, you know, like just because I thought that I had things under control. But it's because I hadn't dealt with a lot of underlying issues that the brain just went, oh, we're back to this now. That's great. You know, this is what we do. Yep, I understand that. Yep. So I just went back into old routines again. So it's not hard to do.
Was it a matter of not retraining the brain properly, or not giving it enough time to retrain itself, or for you to retrain it?
I still thought it was just about not drinking. And so I didn't understand that I had to have replacements to train the brain. It wasn't just a matter of just putting down the wine bottle or the scotch bottle. It was new routines to train the brain to reach for different go-tos, to train the brain that we have a new routine now, to find gym life, as I like to call it, you know, like to find an exercise that you like, or a hobby that you like, and just do it, you know, and do it instead of just, I used to think about how I was my mindset was that I was taking something away, but I wasn't replacing it with anything. So it wasn't until I realized I had to add and not think about deprivation that I was really putting my health and mental and physical back on top of the agenda, where I'd let it slip before, and look for things that brought me joy and filled me up. It was all about the adding. And then I got to a point where I realized I didn't need alcohol because my life was now so full. I was too busy. I don't need it to have fun, because I was having fun at the gym, or I'd have fun at walking, or going for my knees are starting to play up now, but I used to do 10K. I did a few 10K events, and I had fun doing that. So I didn't, but it took time to realize that it was the mindset change of, and so the brain just doesn't do it automatically just because you stop drinking, because it's still got those old pathways. But what changed it was adding all the things.
Well, for me, a lot of this is, I can liken it to food helps. But if I'm hungry and I eat crap food that makes me heavy or overweight, taking away the food isn't going to take away. I still have the need or the hunger. I'm still hungry. So the only way I'm going to be successful is give myself whatever, a healthier something. I have on a Friday night, and well, for me, could have been any night, but I had a need, whatever my need was. Alcohol was what I used to satisfy that need. Take the alcohol away, I'm still sitting there with whatever that need is.
Exactly.
And if I don't have anything, now
you've got to replace it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's why that's called white knuckling. And white knuckling to me is just cruel, because you're just sitting there waiting for things to happen. And if you are literally just sitting there, that's a real mind messes with your head. So yeah, I mean, that's why I say, like, I started changing my routine. I go to gym. The thing that got me going, I've heard you talk about accountability before, and on other calls, and I really like how you were sort of saying, if you just said, oh, I'm going to go to gym today, but because you've got no accountability, but if you say, I'm going to meet so-and-so at the gym, then you'll go. And then that's breaking the routine, because you're training the brain to say, this is what we do different. And I used to think there was plenty of gyms in my area, but what changed it for me, because I never went either, was I made an appointment with a trainer. And so my accountability was, I never broke an appointment. And I don't have, if you make an appointment with me, I'm there. I turn up. Mm-hmm. So I did the same. I used the same mindset with a trainer, and I said, when I leave work at the end of the day, I'm not going to go home and hit the Scotch bottle. I'm not going to have it in the house, and I'm going to go to gym first. I'm going to make an appointment with my trainer, and I started breaking the cycle. And that was one of the things that I used as my accountability of turning up for an appointment. And I literally, even to this day, it's become my non-negotiable that I see him minimum three days a week. And now it's like I have to lose a limb to not go. It's just because I enjoy it so much. I get so much out of it mentally and physically. So it's that's what it is now.
That's so important, because it goes back to drinking. If I tell someone tonight I'm not going to drink tonight, and I'm going to call you at 7:00. I think your role is, if that phone doesn't ring, you better. I'm hoping you're going to call me, and that's one thing. Knowing if I'm sitting there going, son of a bitch, I told her, why did I do that? Because now I got to do this. And if I don't call her, Lisa's going to call me, and that right there, I wouldn't have had the discipline by myself, is my point.
No,
but because I told you, and you're, damn it, why did I say I was going to go to the gym? I don't want to do that tonight. But if
it's
I
so
don't,
good to have.
It's going to be pounding on the door.
It's a fantastic thing to, and that's part of reaching out. I think is allowing yourself to say, I do need an accountability buddy. And you can meet people in groups now. It's so much better. And even if you're not meeting in person, the fact that you can reach out in a DM or a Facebook post, or my God, there's like WhatsApp. There's so many different apps now. I had WhatsApp. I've got Telegram. I've got Marco Polo, all on my phone these days. That it's just such a we just live in such a terrific age where there's literally no way that you just got to. The initial reaching out is the hardest part, but it's the game changer. And having that accountability buddy, someone that you know that you can rely on, and yeah, it's fantastic.
How important is that accountability buddy? I know probably just like with fitness, you have someone that knows what they're doing in fitness. How important is that accountability to be someone that's in recovery as well?
I really think it's key. I think it's good if you had probably more than one, because I think it's great if you have someone who's around about the same stage as you. But on the other hand, you do need someone who's a little ways down the track, I think, to sort of pass on what they've learned, so that you're growing as well and you're developing and you're learning new things. I think you can get a bit inside your own head. And then if you're with someone else who's very much inside their own head, you can not progress as well. I think you do need someone who is a little ways down the track, or a long ways, but at least someone with a bit of experience of what it's like to do, for instance, the first social event that you do sober, little things like that. It's really useful to have someone like that to reach out to and say, well, what did you do? Rather than sit with someone and not taking anything away from the other person that isn't as further down the track, but they don't know either because they haven't done it. So I think
so at a year useful. When you thought you had this and you went back to moderate, at that point, were all of those tools not even being utilized? Accountability?
No, didn't.
You were all on you were on your own.
All I had ever done was not drink, because I thought that was all it was. I didn't have any tools until after I went back to the doctor that day, and then we started working on tools then. But yeah, all I ever did was, and I had to had a lot of shame and blame over should have known better, should have done it sooner, all those things. But, and Scott Pinion said to me in a talk we were doing one day, and he said, well, what tools did you have? And I went, nothing. He said, well, maybe, and it's a cliche, but it's so true. You did the best you could with what you knew. You did the best you could with the tools you had. And I only had one tool, alcohol. So you take that away, and you got nothing. That's why you have all the cycle of day ones, and it's like, because you just keep going back to what the brain is always done. So, it's not.
What do you expound on shame and blame? Because I have plenty of shame of what I was. I blame myself for what I did. What is the topic shame and blame mean to you? How is that?
Man, wasted time. I had, and my marriage wasn't great. I mean, I've always been lucky that I married my best friend. But I was no fun to live with, blacking out, and especially when it got really bad towards the end there, and blacking out, argumentative, like so shame and blame over. I could have lost him. I didn't, but the overthinking brain starts future projecting what could have happened and what an idiot I was. Jobs that I let people down in when I was in jobs that had a lot of responsibility. I really felt a lot of shame over letting people down, especially the job I had in that last 12 months.
But isn't that a good tool? Isn't that a good tool to keep me focused on not repeating that and making me better, so that I want to be better today or tomorrow?
Yes, if you have that mindset. but I think I was stuck in how I felt. I was still stuck. Instead of taking it and using it for the longest time, I do it now. I'm better at it now. But at that time, I was very glum. I was very depressed about how much time I'd wasted, and still, I call it being manacled to the past. And I was still back there. I hadn't moved forward. I was still stuck in that moment. I was still stuck in maybe an argument that I'd had with my husband. I was still stuck in a day when I knew that I'd let someone down. Either I hadn't turned up, or when I did turn up, I had, performed below par. I was still stuck back there. So I hadn't yet learnt that use it as momentum to do better and go. And the best, I know this is another cliche, but the best apology is change behaviour. So all I could do then was, okay, I did the best I could with the tools I had. I didn't pick a good tool, but I'm going to do better now, and I am. And that's what changed for me, was leaving it behind. Yes, now I say I learned from that. I'm never going to do it again, and I literally have to lose a limb to let anybody down now. I just go, I'm back. I'm back to the person I was before all that happened. In fact, I think I'm better, and my mindset's a lot different now. So I'd use it as momentum now, but at the time, I was still back there in that moment. And so when you're back there, you're not present. So again, mindfulness tools come into play. Where you when you learn to stay in the moment, you can use that as momentum to move forward.
I look at my life, and I missed decades of todays. My today was fretting over what I did or didn't do yesterday, and scared to death, scared to death of what was going to happen tomorrow, because I wasn't doing today what I need, where tomorrow would take. I couldn't enjoy the moment. And
No.
I missed, if we were at a park where other people are looking at the sights or enjoying, I was thinking about tomorrow. What are we going to do? How am I going to get that done? I'm behind on this. I got to get that done. Or I was thinking about, God, I wonder if anyone's going to find out that I drove their kid around, and I was, with empty beer cans all over the back of the truck. I missed today's a whole lifetime of it.
Yeah, because you're constantly, the mental chatter, all the space that it takes up of this constant thinking about it. It's just incredible. But it's very freeing to mindfulness tools and gratitude journals and all those things, to anything that keeps you focused on the moment, and just keep going forward. There's nothing you can do. To Dr. Phil, big fan of Dr. Phil, he always goes, even God can't change the past. And I just go, there's nothing that I can do about all the yesterdays that I stuffed up. There's nothing that I can do. All I can do is go, I'm never doing that again. And I'm going to be present. I'm not overthinking the future. I'm not constantly looking back. All I can do is be the best version of me right now, and I'm 100% present right now. And I've just got to move forward and show people by my example now that I have changed, I am changing, I continue to change, I continue to grow, and I'm just going to be the best version of me now. I'm sorry, and sometimes it means an apology. I remember saying to an old supervisor once, I didn't really tell her, all the drama and everything behind it, but I just said to her one day, I'm really sorry that I was not employee of the month when you were my supervisor. I let you down a lot of times, and I hope that you can see that I've made a lot of changes, and I'm much more the person that you need now. And she went, I really appreciate that. And she, and that was really all that was said. But I felt better because I really felt at times that I had let her down and let the team down. So, but I could move on from that. And it wasn't really about making amends. I haven't really, I've certainly apologized to my husband many times. But all I can do now is be the best version of myself and show that I'm changed.
I did a little workshop where about putting myself in the best position, and I always pick 5 o'clock because that's a stereotypical when drinking starts. Putting myself in the best position to win the decision at 5 o'clock. And what you just said about the work day, and I looked at the days that I drank at 5 o'clock. Maybe I hadn't showered that day. Maybe I hadn't shaved. Maybe I was wearing clothes from yesterday. Yep. I probably didn't do any exercise that day. I probably ate like crap, and I did a lousy day worth of work. My job, I didn't put in that much, and I had nothing at the end of the day of self-worth to lose by drinking. I was already down at the bottom. So who gave it? Who cares?
Yeah.
Versus what if at that day I had gotten up, out, showered, taken care of myself, exercised, maybe did meditation. What if I ate right all day? What if I busted my butt at work where I actually had some pride when I got home? And at that point, I've got some worth that I don't want to give that up. I got to bet at least I have a better shot of not drinking if I prepare myself for that. Now let's add on the tools of accountability. Call that person and say, we're going to meet, or, hey, if I'm not there by 6, get on me. And I had to have a schedule, Lisa. I had to know what I was doing. And at 10 o'clock, once I got to a certain point, then I was safe because I knew I couldn't get out to get the beer or whatever. But I had to put some steps in place for insurance.
Absolutely.
Because Jeff alone failed on that. Doing it by myself does not work.
Totally. And I was exactly the same. I would go, if I wasn't going to gym straight from work to change that routine, I on my way home, I would actually pass a bottle shop in Queensland, in the state that I'm in. We can't buy alcohol at the grocery store. So you have to go to a bottle shop to go and buy it. I would actually have to pass one. So in those early days, it was like setting myself up for, I'll start tomorrow. Today, no, I've had a bad day at work. I'm going to get that bottle of whiskey on the way home. And so one of the things that I had to do was just get off at a train stop, the next one, and come home a different way so that I wouldn't stop. And I would come home without anything in the house, because if I just had to, you just got to, doing it by myself. Especially until you get into a routine where it's just second nature, or, that takes time. So you've got to set yourself up for success. And if it means that you've got to walk an extra 2 minutes, 3 minutes just to go home because you're not going to gym today. Because if I went to gym, that was my witching hour. So I would, by the time I was going to see the trainer and then saw him and then come home, well, then I had a whole different routine. My mindset had changed because I felt like I'd achieved something when I was at gym. I never thought I could lift a weight, for God's sake, and I'm not exactly Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I just did things I never thought that I would ever be capable of. And I had a really good trainer. I still have the same one now today. And I didn't see him straight away from when I stopped drinking, but probably within the first few months. And but I had been going to that gym and seeing a different trainer. So that's a whole other long story. But it's just getting into those new routines of saying, I'm just going to do something different. Because I can't do it by myself. It was just, I couldn't rely on me just to do it by myself.
Let me ask you a question on that drive, the train ride home that you went to the next exit. when did you make that decision to go to the next exit? Was it at that moment as you were driving home or on the train home, or was it earlier in the day? My point is, you always hear about the grocery shopping. You know, if you want to buy healthy food, what do you do before you go grocery shopping?
Oh,
You,
I see what you mean.
you eat. So I couldn't have waited on that train ride. If I'm at that liquor store stop, at that point, I'm not going to make the right decision. It's too late. I had to make the decision at 10 that morning.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, because that's when I'm strong. I can't go into the grocery store hungry and not buy crap because I'm going to see it and it's going to, oh God, that looks good.
Yeah.
But if I eat before I go grocery shopping, I got a much better chance of buying healthier food because I don't have that. I've made the choice before I'm at that point. And the same thing for me with alcohol. I don't, to not drink when I'm sitting in front of a liquor store and say, oh, okay, what choice am I going to make? I'm going to go.
Yeah.
No, it's too late at that point.
Yeah. I have to, in those early days, I had to just say, today I've made a decision already in the morning. I'm not going to drink today. And and people talk about one day at a time. Sometimes for me, it was 1 hour at a time. And it was just like, it helped for me to make that decision. But then if I ever sort of wobbled, I would just compartmentalize my day. So I'd go, just get through to morning tea time. Just get through to lunch. Just make that decision for those next couple of hours. But eventually then it's like training a new muscle. So if I started off by just get to lunchtime, and then I get to lunchtime and I go, oh no, I'm good. I'm okay. No. And so I'm not going to make a decision now. My decision is now I'm not going to drink till, you know, I'm at work now, you know, so I've actually made it to work. So I get to, like, I would just break the day down, and then I would just get to a point where I mentally had strengthened that muscle, and I would just go, today I'm not going to drink. So then I had confidence in myself that I had grown that muscle and strengthened that muscle that I could then make that decision. But for me, it was a real process because I'd had so many day ones. I didn't have faith in myself just to say, I'm never going to drink again. I just needed to know that today I wasn't going to do it. But it took sort of building up to that. It was a process for me just to break it down on the harder days.
It sounds like you're grabbing what worked and hit repeat on that and polish what didn't.
Yeah, exactly. You do. Yeah. And what works today doesn't always work tomorrow. So that's why you've got to, I learned that with trying to manage my anxiety. So that's why you need a toolbox, and that's why you need to be keeping on adding things to your toolbox. Instead of just making a decision not to do something, because willpower only lasts. It's another muscle, and it gets very tired when you've been using it all day. So that's why it's got to be a bit more. Some days it is about willpower, or for that hour or that half an hour, it might be about willpower. But what are you going to do after that? Because it gets tired. So that's when the new routines take place, come into play.
Did you accountability with not the support, but did you tell your friends? Did you tell? I mean, how'd the husband? How did you let people know? Because I was afraid to tell people because I knew I would fail again.
I had a lot of shame. Exactly, I had a lot of shame because I'd had so many day ones. I don't remember how many. That I was ashamed to sort of say, because, you know, oh yeah, she's doing it again a day. Oh, like she's going to give it up again, you know. So I don't know that I really told a lot of people. And only a couple of people that I was really close to. And then they were more pleased for me because they'd seen how sick I'd been. So they were just really pleased and just said, you know, we're here for you. It was really only a couple of people, aside from my husband. My husband was great. He just went, well, I'm not going to have – he drank rum. I detest rum. So I said to him, you can have rum in the house if you want rum, but just never buy wine or scotch or anything. And he didn't really like those things either. But he went, no, I'm not going to have alcohol in the house. He said, he just made a decision that he didn't want to drink either. He would only drink. He's always been someone who could just have a couple of drinks and put it down. He never reached for alcohol as a tool for stress. And I think that was my game changer. I did. And I think that's where I changed myself. I rewired myself using alcohol for stress. And that's the bit where I wish I could go back and go, don't. But so it was easier for him just to say, if I'm out socially at an after work function, which he never really went to that often anyway, like I'm literally a couple of times a year, he'd say, I might have a rum while I'm out. And he could have a rum while he was out. But even now, COVID now, but so that sort of has stopped. But even up to that point, he was never one to overindulge anyway. And he only said to me recently, even if, like, with this, restrictions are a little less here, and people are starting to get out and about. But even he has said now, I don't even know that I will drink when I go out, when we can, if we have an after work function, if those sort of things start up again. He said, I really, listening to all the things that I've learned in the different training courses I've done, he said, and I've been talking to him about it, he said, I don't know that I want to anymore. He said, we don't have it at home. And he said, it's not something that I think I'll look for when I go out now. So he's been a terrific support to me. He's, and I think that's where I really, best apology is change behaviour. I just had to show him that if I said I was going to be somewhere, that I would turn up. If we together were supposed to be somewhere, I was always ready on time. I wasn't, an hour late because I'd blacked out or gone back out to sleep because I'd been up at 3 a.m. drinking. Like I had to just show him from my continued good behaviour that this is what the new me was sticking. And he was fantastic from day one. Sorry, not to play on words, but he was fantastic from that day one as well. He just, he's even said to me, if I want to go to gym at 2 a.m, I'll drive you, like what do you need? He would drive me to those 10K running events, even though he didn't participate in any way. And he would, what do you need? I will be there for you. And I go, oh my God, I'm so lucky that he stuck by me. It's just given us a new lease of life, I think, really.
Did you set goals for yourself in sobriety? I know with the 10K, you build up to it.
Yeah.
Did you set goals for sobriety to give you reasons to?
You mean like 30 days or something?
Well,
or
yeah,
6
whatever.
months?
I guess so.
Yeah. No, and I didn't, because I had let myself down. You were talking about had I told any friends. I even didn't really trust myself. So because I'd done 30 days with Dry July a couple of times, because for here it's a charity. And so I was very proud of myself that I'd raised a little bit of money for a really good charity, and then I'd go right back to it. So I didn't have any faith in myself for the longest time, and I didn't set goals. And I know some people don't like counting days, but I don't find a pressure from counting days, because I'd go, oh my God, I've notched up another one. I can't believe it. It is day 31 and I did it, and I go, oh my God. I remember my husband gave me a beautiful card for 6 months, and I went, I still have that card. I'll never throw it away. But it was like, I can't believe I've done 6 months. And then when I had 1,000 days, I still didn't believe it. But I should have got it. I meant to get it out because I thought it might have come up. He got you can get those metallic water bottles, and he got them and they're insulated. And it's really pretty. And he got it engraved with my sober date and had 1,000 days, and then we did it again at 2,000 days. So I I haven't actually had goals because I still, in some ways, am so grateful. I still can't believe it sometimes. I'll look at the days and I'll go, I don't really count every day now because I'm just busy and I'm living life the way I was meant to. So I'm excited about that. But I still go, oh, I wonder how many days it is now. And I'll go, no, really? So I never did, but I counted days because I was excited about it. I never felt pressure because I was more excited that I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it. Oh my God. So
I was counting hours at first.
That's what I mean. When we talked about compartmentalizing the day, because I didn't have faith in myself because I had to break it down. Yeah, definitely.
I thought, I don't know how someone could just watch a football game for 3 hours was a goal. To sit there and, hey, it's over, and I didn't drink during it was total foreign territory for me. So,
totally.
Lisa, what do you tell someone that has had multiple day ones? What's your advice to them?
Do they want change? What's the goal for them? If they want change and they just don't know what to do different, reaching out to find your tribe, find a like-minded community, whatever that means for you. There's some fantastic sober groups on Facebook. I know people say, oh, I hate Facebook. And I go, use it as a tool. Get over what you hate about it and use it as a tool. But then a lot of the people who are on Facebook who run these sober groups, for instance, William Porter is fantastic and his books are great. But his weekly live, he puts on YouTube. So if you really hate Facebook, go and listen to someone like him, like our friend Alex at Sober Yoga Girl. Her stuff goes on YouTube. If you don't, not that she has stuff on Facebook, but find people, reach out and just say, I need support, I need guidance, and guarantee you will get so much support back. People will tell you what it's been like for them. People will share how to do, what to say, what they've been through, because I absolutely guarantee you're not alone. I used to think that I was alone, that no one else was like me. I didn't see what other people, I perceived that other people had it all under control. And it's not that you're abnormal and they're normal. It's just some people, I'm not saying everybody is like this, but some people are better with a mask and you don't see what goes on behind closed doors. You never assume. You just know that if something's not working for you, don't compare yourself with someone else. Just get on to social media. There's so many sober groups out there now. You just type a few words into the search field and they will just come up. Put it into Google and they'll come up. Put it into Spotify and they'll come up. And that was the biggest game changer, was actually reaching out and asking for support.
It's
Number
crazy,
one.
but even this hour that I'm spending with you, I know I got a real good shot of not drinking while I'm distracted and actually my mind is focused on this.
Yep.
I've got, and that's versus sitting here by myself looking at YouTube videos of nonsense that I did forever. The last question I had is, and I don't know if there's a simple answer, but that person that was me that has very little self-worth, wants to, but as a complete failure, I don't want to bother you, because you know what? I'm probably, I don't even know if I'm ready or how do I don't, there's that, do I want to do this? How do I make that determination before I go all in? That's a hard one.
It is a hard one, but you know what? Listen to yourself and listen to that little voice, because if you're asking the question, something, and maybe you can't put your finger on it, but maybe you just know that something isn't working. And you just know that something's just not right. It's off center. If you're asking yourself the question, is this something I need to change? Then probably it is. And it doesn't, and again, going right back to the beginning of our conversation, it doesn't mean that you have to wait for a DUI. It doesn't mean that you have to wait until you lose a job. You know, if I wish I could go back to that where I was many years ago and go, that's the point where I could go. I could say something wasn't right, and I wish that I'd made change then. I shouldn't have. And even when I got sick, I still thought that I could handle it. You know, so like, if you're asking yourself the question, then it may not even be a big change. You know, like you might just need to tweak routines or start adding things now so that you've got, you know, more control. You know, like I would recommend not drinking at all because it's a toxin. But, you know, like maybe you're like my husband and you can have 2 drinks and put it down, you know, and not that he even does that now. But it's like,
if something like that.
I like you to do.
My wife's like that. It just pisses me off.
It's just annoying. But yes, if you're asking, I think that's the thing. If you're asking yourself the question at all, then there is something that's listen to what something is telling you. Your intuition, maybe your health's not where you want it to be. Maybe you're not kicking goals at the gym that you'd like to do. Maybe there's something off. Listen to it.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Do you have any personal sites or ways of getting a hold of you?
Sure. I've got a Facebook and Instagram page that is the same. It's called Keep Looking Upwards. And I called it that because I find that alcohol made me very insular, and that when I reached out for help, things changed. So I just try to share on there what works for me, and it's almost like a journal for me because sometimes I'm talking to myself, you know, but it's just sharing what and asking myself questions that might resonate with other people. So
when I talk to someone like you, everything you say, I ask myself. It helps me to grow. So that communication is just stellar. So what is the site again?
Keep looking upwards.
Keep looking upwards. Okay, I'll put that on the web pages as well, the Facebook pages. But thank you so much. You don't have a choice. You will be back. And I don't. It's
been great fun.
No, that's fantastic. All right, everyone. Have a great start to the weekend. Enjoy your Friday, and we will see you Saturday morning with the Soba Yoga girl Alex and Rose.
I can't wait.
That's going to be really fun. Thanks again so much, Lisa. Fantastic. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you. Bye.